Hey everybody, Raziel here, coming back at you with another Smite God build for the Xbox One, or any platform for that matter. Now before we get into it, you probably wonder where my bald ass head is. I couldn't get the webcam and my audio to sync to a point that I was acceptable for me to publish, so I decided to scrap that indefinitely. As long as the information is still coming across, I think everything will work out. So things are going to change here with format and a little bit, and icons or graphics and stuff. So right now I just put my logo at the top there, which may or may not be changed in the next video. So anyway, let's get back to why we're here. This week we are bringing to the table Ares, God of War, for patch 3.17. He fills the role of support for the Greek pantheon, and he is just a friggin' beast. He is an aggressive frontliner. I mean, he's a guardian, so that's pretty much his role. You know, he just gets in front and he front lines the hell out of team fights in early game. This video is intended for those just starting to play Ares, those who need a refresher in the god because they haven't touched him in a while, because he really wasn't as relevant as he is now in season 3 last year, or those who just don't understand the Ares they went against to shut them down like disgustingly and literally burned their health away. I mean, they didn't understand why, and they came here. So here we are. We'll start out with his abilities, or kit as I call it. Then go over his relics and his item build, and then finish off with combos and fighting scenarios. If you liked the video, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for future Smite guides. Also, feel free to leave a comment below requesting any future gods, or just to say hello. What the hell, right? Now let's get into those abilities. Alright, before we get into this, I have to go over a little bit of housekeeping that I have for every video. I play with the Savage layout on the Xbox One, which may look different than what you guys are using if you're using the default or Southpaw or whatever the hell other button layouts there are for the Xbox. Additionally, the PS4 uses shapes, and the PC and Mac has a whole different UI altogether. So from now on, I'll actually be calling these abilities out based upon 1, 2, 3, and 4. With the 1 being the ability all the way to the left and his ultimate on the right being 4. This will hopefully free up any confusion that may happen later on in this video as I'm describing his kit and going over the combos and fighting scenarios. So that being said, let's get into his abilities here. We're going to start out with his passive, which is called Blessed Presence. It's a buff to himself, and each completed aura item that Ares owns grants him an additional 30 magical power. This is pretty good, pretty huge, because you have 3 aura. We'll say you have 3 aura items. Not only are you getting the benefits from the items, your teammates are getting the benefits from the items, but you also gain additional 30 magical power per item. So if you have 3, that's a 90 magical power that you have now, in addition to whatever bonuses you get from the items themselves. So that's pretty huge. You get 1 in the laning phase early game, and you have an additional 30 magical power. So that's an item right there, almost a cheaper item, in addition to the aura item that you have in your kit or in your build. That's pretty good. I didn't understand that. A lot of people don't understand that, so they build him with pretty much just non-aura defensive items, and it doesn't work because you're not getting that additional magical power from the buff, and that magical power can do a lot of damage early, late game, mid game, whatever. So there's one. It's called Shackles. It's a projectile. It goes down a line. Chains extend from Ares' shield, doing damage to all enemies in its path. Hitting a god shackles them to Ares. Cripples them, which is a pain in the ass, let me tell you. Preventing movement abilities, dealing the same damage every second while slowing them and buffing Ares. While shackled, Ares can fire another chain for free within 3 seconds, up to 3 shackles. Okay, so you can shackle the same god 3 times, or you can shackle 3 different gods. Usually want to go for the same god, but that's just that. If you just shoot down the line and hit minions at max rank, it's 105 damage plus 15% of your magical power against minions. Additionally, god damage is the same, 105 per tick, but it's an additional 15% of your magical damage towards gods. It adds 15% slow per shackle, so you can have what 45% slow if you get 3 of them. All right, it'll last for 4 seconds. Now, how many ticks does it say? It doesn't really say, but I guess that maybe that'd be 1 shackle would be a tick, maybe. Who knows? Um, does a lot of damage, and it cripples them, which is annoying as hell. If you're trying to get away from the Ares, it sucks if they shackle you. His 2 is bolster defenses. It's a buff to anyone within 35 units. He strengthens the defenses of himself and all nearby allies, granting protections and reducing crowd control durations. That's huge because there's a ton of CC in this game now. For each shackled enemy, protection buffs are increased. So if you get 3 shackles, I'm gonna say, you're gonna get a reduction, a protection increase of 7. So 21% or 21 bonus buffs per shackle. It lasts for 8 seconds. It reduces CC crap for 30% at max rank. That's again, that's huge. Okay, that's like an item right there. One of the robes does what 20% CC reduction. Now this is a buff. You can rotate every 15 seconds, whatever. And it adds 40 protections, both magical and physical, to anyone within the radius. Pretty good. Usually you want to have this kind of refresh, especially in team fights. Now, his 3 is called Searing Flesh. Now this is going to be his main damage dealing ability. Flames pour forth from Ares shield, engulfing enemies in a cone in front of him, causing damage every half a second for 4 seconds. So 8 ticks. Ares is immune to knockbacks for this duration. So 4 seconds he's immune to knockbacks. Of the CC that happens, that's one of the least ones that are a pain in the ass. It does 35 at max rank per tick, plus an additional 7% damage each tick. That's not a lot, but it does a lot of damage. And it does a percentage of their health per tick as well. So you have 8 times 3, that's 24. This ability can chunk them down by that percentage alone to a quarter. And then you have extra damage, etc., etc. Usually can, use these in conjunction with your 1. We'll go over that at the end of the video. His ultimate, his 4, is No Escape, and this is the Ares staple ability here. This is what makes everybody choose Purification as their first relic. Because Ares throws out chains to all enemy gods within 35 units. Enemies hit by the chains are pulled to Ares after 2.5 seconds and take damage and are stunned for 1 second. Excuse me. At max rank, it does 500 damage. Alright, that's not too bad. Plus an additional 40% of your magical power. And at this point, if you have 100 magical power, it's an additional 40. It's 540. It's not a lot. But, the main thing is you pull them in, and it sets up for the rest of your team to do some stuff. Lines it up for other ultimates to be done and just melt them. The cooldown is 100 seconds before any, cooldown reduction items. And it's just friggin' ridiculous. Purification is needed, pretty much automatically, if you're going against an Ares. And also, Ares can bait the purification for holy crap, where the hell did that yarn come from? For any other ultimates, like Fenrir's or something that may need purification as well. So it's a good way to burn and bait purifications from enemy gods. But it's a well-known pain in the ass ability, and if you can land it, it's awesome. Okay, and it works well. That pretty much wraps up his kit. And we'll go over the combos and everything at the end of the video. So now let's move into his relics and his items themselves. Alright, so now we're going to go over his relics and his item build. These are primarily going to be for conquest, but they can be used in pretty much any game mode, except for assault. Assault usually is going to be a whole different ball of wax because you can't go back to your fountain. I want to stress this before we get into this. Everything is situational. Your core items will probably be the same, but depending on your team composition and the enemy team comp, things may change in terms of items and whatnot. And this is for patch again 3.17, so things may change down the line based upon balancing of items and gods, etc., etc. So let's just get right into it here. We're gonna go over to relics to start out with. Now, you can either do one of two things for your first relic. You're going to be playing support, most likely. Ares is primarily support. He doesn't jungle that often or play solo, etc. So you can either go with the med to, keep you and your carry alive, and if they're like if it's a Chiron or something, maybe you don't need it. Something that can heal, etc., etc. You can go med, or if you want to play aggressive, you can go blink, because blink can set up your ultimate a whole hell of a lot better. But in conquest, I think in conquest I would usually go med first because it's going to be primarily just the laning phase. Once you get to level 12, maybe you are doing some rotations in the mid lane and everything else, but blink will be more important to get as your second relic because that's when you're getting towards more of the team fights and that type of scenario. So blinking in would be the way to go. So we're going to start off with the med, keep you and your teammate alive, and then the second relic. Why can't I get what the hell I'm doing here? The second relic will be blink here, and that would just help you blink in, pop your ultimate, pull them back towards whoever your team, and melt faces. That's gonna be my phrase of the night, apparently. So let's skip right into his actual boots. I mean his item build. All right, again, this is for conquest. This is for his, primarily, support role. So you're gonna start out with why the most likely Watcher's Gift. It gives you health, gives you MP5 and HP5. Granted, it's only 5 a pop, but the passive means that you get bonus gold and health and mana per minion kill, essentially. So that's pretty damn good. You're gonna start out with Watcher's Gift. Then you're gonna go into boots. Now, this is where things are getting kind of hairy at this moment in time. More times than not, I would be going Shoes of Focus because it gives you magical power, gives you mana, gives you cooldown reduction, and standard movement speed. A lot of people, depending on when you're watching this and whatnot, I've gone reinforced shoes because it gives you health, power, CC reduction, excuse me, and movement speed. But the passive, every time you're damaged by a god, it gives you 5 stacks of protections. So it just gives you that deluxe protections, which is pretty good early game. I'm going to stick with the Shoes of Focus. It's going to be a staple. I'm sure they're going to nerf reinforced shoes at some point. I think they actually are in 3.18, taking care of that situation. So we're going to go Shoes of Focus, and then we're going to lead into most likely a Sovereignty. If their team comp's probably going to be most likely a Guardian support with a Hunter carry. Now, for some reason, they go say a warrior support like a Guan Yu, and then a Kronos, a magical carry, then maybe you want to start off with Heartward Amulet. But more times than not, you're gonna go Sovereignty first. It gives you that aura, all right? That aura that will go towards his passive. So that's a 30 additional magical power once you finish this off. So it gives you health, it gives you 30 protections, and it also gives you your allies protections and 25 health per second. So that's not too bad. Plus that 30 freaking magical power. Your next item will be Heartward Amulet because it gives you 45 magical protections, 200 more health, 20 magic MP5, and more magical protections there as well. So, and then another 30 magical power. So at this point, you've got 60 magical power plus the protections you just popped up. Let's just pop that up right now. Let's see, you've got 137 and 113. protections. Not too bad. And your magical power does it 100. I don't know if that actually the passive amount it should have increased. We'll see. Because the next item you're gonna probably go is Void Stone. At this point, you've got your protections pretty much locked down for the most part. Uh, for up until late game here. So Void Stone is great because it gives you magical power 40, another 50 magical protection, and then reduces the protections of enemies within 55 units by 20. This is good because you're going to be up in their faces, trying to burn them, shackle them, and burn them, pretty much. So when you're close, this is going to melt them down. And in 55 units is pretty much a team fight. So anyone within that team fight, for the most part, is going to get affected by that. And you and your mid, and maybe your jungle, depending on what kind of team comp you've got, are going to be doing extra magical damage to the enemy team. So we're going to pop that. So it was at 100 before. We added 40. Yeah, so it did. It did add that 30 from the passive right there. It's 170. Not too bad. Again, this is just aura items. They're fairly cheap. They do a decent amount. They help out your team. So you're supporting your team by getting these items. Now the next one, I mean, you could go. This is where you could stray from the path a little bit. You could go into Soul Reaver, which may or may not work. I probably wouldn't do it, but I mean that's a lot, but hey, what the hell. You could go into Gem of Isolation because the slows from your fire would work great. I mean, if you don't get the shackles, the fire will do a good amount of damage too. Or you can pop into another defense item, which I would probably most likely. I would probably try to go towards Mantle of Discord next, because it gives you 60 protections for magical and physical, and then 15% cooldown reduction. It doesn't give you that aura that you want, but it's still pretty good because it gets that cooldown reduction going. And at this point, you're just tanky. All right. Now you're gonna sell your last item here. Let's see. You're gonna sell your Watcher's Gift. If you haven't already, you should sell that. And you might as well just pick up another aura item here. So do you want? You could go Witchblade. Probably wouldn't. Pythagram's Piece. This one's not bad. It gives you some lifesteal. Emperor's Armor. I don't think I've ever used that one. I don't know. Alright, so I'd probably either go Pythagram's Piece or Pestilence if they have healers. Definitely go Pestilence. Pestilence over anything if they have healers. Pythagram's Piece or Mystical Mail. Now, Mystical Mail, if you're going to go Mystical Mail, you might go Mystical Mail early. You might want to do that instead of Sovereignty and then pick up Sovereignty later. But I think I'm going to go, I'm going to suggest, right now I'm thinking, Pestilence. We're going to go Pestilence. You know why? More times than not, we're going to go Pestilence because it's some kind of healer, right? So I'm going to put that in here. But you can also go with Pythagram's Piece if you guys are doing pretty good, feeling pretty confident, because it gives you that magical power, which we just got another 30. So we're at 200 magical power right now. Just mostly for more items, okay? Plus, this will give this other one could give you a lifesteal with your fire and everything else, and it gives you CC reduction. Without it, you're at 25. So I mean, it's not a deal breaker. It almost caps you out, but it doesn't cap you out. That's if you don't go with Gem of Isolation or anything else. Try to go aura items because the extra passive magical power will be great. I think I had 4 aura items, so we're gonna back out of here. I have 4 aura items, so that's an extra 120 magical power just from my passive. That's not too shabby at all. Now this item build again is primarily for conquest. Assault's gonna be different, but you can run this in any game mode, Clash, Joust, Arena, etc. And again, situational. You may not want to go med or blink. You know, you may want a purification in there if they're running in areas as well. They have a Fenrir or something like that. And if you guys are steamrolling, you can probably go with some more of the damaging aura ones, or maybe forego that mental discord and go towards, you know, a soul reaver or something more damaging, just shit in their cereal essentially. So that's pretty much the item build. You run with this, things will work out, go in your favor. You'll do some damage, you'll be tanky as all hell, and you'll have a grand old time. So now we're actually going to get into the combos and fighting scenario kind of situations. Alright, so now we're going to go over his fighting scenarios and his combos and everything, and then I'll go over the order in which to rank up his kit as you level up yourself. So here we go. We're going to start off, we're going to go over to our buddies Odin Squared over here. Hey guys. And we're just going to show off the things here. So here's his shackles, here's his one. You know, you can see it's a line, it shows a chain. And if you missed, which I'm not going to do here because I actually want to shackle him. If you miss, you know, game over. But you can actually hit them up to 3 times. You hit the same god up 3 times. You can hit 3 different gods once. Now for this, I'm gonna hit him twice and then shackle this guy over here just to show you that you can do that. So 1, 2, and then 3. Boom. Got them both. They're both slow. They're both taking damage, etc., etc. Now his 2 is like an insta cast, so I'm not even I can't show you the radius. But when you do cast, it's kind of like a fog ring that emanates, you know, the radius here, and I'll just pop it here. You can kind of see it now on the edge there. When I move, it kind of moves with me. You may be able to see it there. That's, you know, just the radius of the buff, and that just gives you the extra protections there. So that ability you kind of want to pop before you start a team fight and keep refreshing it as much as you can during the team fight. Early game, you might want to hold it off a little bit, just because it'll probably eat up a lot of your mana early game. And then there's his 3, which is just flames, and you know, it's in this cone here. You can hit anyone within the cone, and we'll actually burn this guy here. Just, you know, Odin and Crispy, he doesn't like it. That's a little extra slap for good measure. So you're gonna combo pretty much his 1 and his 3. That's gonna be the main combo that you do. You're gonna shackle and then you're gonna burn, and then refresh his 2 as you see fit, depending on if you're in a team fight or if you're just kind of transitioning from one lane to the other, etc., etc. Obviously, if you're not in a fight, you're not really gonna want to, you know, use your 2. You want to conserve that mana. And then his ultimate, it can be used in conjunction with his blink as a major initiation tool. You should be able to use your ultimate to set up the rest of your team for the kills if you don't finish them off yourself. Sometimes, you know, if they're low enough and you're just like, oh, I can get 1 or 2 of these guys if I ult. Even if they pop Purification, they're going to take damage. They're just not going to get pulled in and stunned if they pop Purification at the right time. If they pop it immediately, not going to happen. Purification, I think, only lasts for 2 seconds. And it takes 2.5 seconds before Ares pulls them in. So I'm actually going to blink in, pull these 2, shackle the left one, and then burn. That's pretty much your most damage dealing initiation, etc. I mean, for the most part, when you go in with your ultimate, your allies should come in and probably spam some ultimate or AoE items as well, because if the enemy does not pop Purification, they're going to be just grouped up right there, and it's just pentakill possibilities, etc., etc. You know, if you have a Hades on your team, a Zeus, Poseidon, etc., etc., boom, game over. You're just gonna shit in everybody's cereal and then giggle about it shortly thereafter. So let's do that here. We're gonna blink in 4, 1, 3, or 1 multiple times. Ready? Blink. 4. We're gonna get this left one here. 1, 1, 1. Burn. So this guy would probably be pretty close to dead if he had full health. This guy got away. I only shackled this guy 3 times. So that's pretty much the Ares team fight scenario. More times than not, I mean, your ult's gonna be in cooldown. You just, you just go up and shackle. Burn. That's what you're gonna do. They're gonna be running away, so you're gonna follow them. That's where Gem of Isolation would come in handy here, if you wanted to put it in your item build, because it slows them down with that fire. And then just keep refreshing the two for you and your allies, as you see fit during team fights or just by getting into a team fight. So that's it. I mean, it's not that difficult. I mean, your shackles will slow them down for you to do damage, for your carry to do damage, and any other, if it's a team fight, then anyone to do damage. Your fire burns them down pretty good, and with the gem isolation, possibly in your item build, that will just slow them down for you and the enemy. I mean, your allies as well. Your twos are great protections, and your ultimate is like the ultimate, quotes there. Team setup ability. Also, it baits purification like to no avail. You have a Raijin. You have a Fenrir. You have ultimates in with your allies that could potentially be negated with purification as well. Then this would bait out pretty much the entire team's purification, and then have an ability to go after whoever they want. So even if your ult doesn't get anybody the first time, it will most likely, no, it won't most likely, it will definitely be up and off of cooldown before their purification. So you'll have an ability to hit it twice before, or one more time before the purification is up again. So if you don't get it the first time, you bait it out, and you get it the second time, and freaking pentakill possibilities. That's all I gotta say right there. Anyway, to go into the next thing right here now, the order in which you want to rank up the abilities. Now I usually go fire first, especially in conquest. Level 1, the fire is gonna help clear the camps and the minion waves to start with. Then put a point into his 1, then a point into his 2, and then fire. And whenever the ultimate comes up, put a point into that. So priorities after level 5 would be his 3, then his 2. No, his 3, then his 1, then his 2, and his 4 whenever it pops up. If you want to go tankier, you can prioritize 2 over his 1, but 3 first, always. 1 or 2, depending on your team comp and your confidence, and if you can be aggressive, you want to be a little more passive. And then his ultimate whenever it pops up. I hope you liked the video. Hope it was helpful for you guys who need a refresher, who need to figure out how to use them what together and whatnot. Well, okay, let's mumble. But if you liked the video, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for future god builds. Leave a comment below if you guys want a specific god in the next one, and just to shoot the proverbial shit, if I could say the damn words. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one, and peace.